So, willpower. That's an interesting. Well, to have will, I need like a self that wills something, self that wants something. Like I will do something. Will is always like in the future, something that's going to happen. But willpower is just the thought of wanting something. Willpower is always about the future. It's always changing what's happening into what you think you want or should be happening. So really, will is just a thought. Like these desires kind of come from wanting to change what's happening. Because on some level, you don't like what's happening. And you have a thought, well, feeling or experiencing this will be better. You use this idea or these thoughts to kind of direct whatever's happening, try to get this experience. But the problem is, it's just a thought, and thoughts are pretty ethereal. You can't really, I mean, you can try to get what you want, and you can get what you want. But when discomfort comes again, there will be more will and more willpower being expended trying to change experience. Well, thoughts and will takes energy, and it's going to self perpetuate until you run out of energy, run out of willpower. And there's got to be a point of rest, but when there's will, you can't rest. There's just energy being expended to this idea that you should get something other than what's here. It can be just as simple as the personal will of wanting. Common one could be like a relationship, like I will get a relationship, as opposed to just being what is, which can include already having one or not having one, where it's like there isn't much of a there isn't the pressure to get into a relationship if there isn't one, and you just are in one, you can just engage in it. Yet it isn't like a denial of this natural energy that moves towards something. But when something like kind of naturally moves towards something, there isn't like that willpower or that idea that you're gonna get something out of it, or that you're using your mind or thought to kind of push things in a certain direction. More of a natural flow, natural energy. Kind of like when you're deciding between two things, when you're kind of second guessing yourself, you're kind of overthinking it. When it's kind of just a natural, I want this. There's not much of a reason or explanation. You're not really using willpower. That's just like a natural flow of energy. But willpower would be kind of like, hmm, like I really want something and I need to have it, or else something bad will happen, or I need it and I suffer trying to get it. I need to assure that it happens, as opposed to this natural, just kind of a curiosity, like going back to relationships. Like I want a relationship in a way that's really personal and willful. There's energy and there's a lot of evaluating and a lot of trying to make this outcome come true. As opposed to, there's more of that natural curiosity of, you're kind of just naturally interested. And whether you get a relationship or not, it doesn't matter. What matters is the curiosity and the natural engagement you have from being curious. Like when you're learning something new, you try really hard. Sometimes you kind of just burn yourself out, just trying too hard, and you kind of collapse because it's just too much pressure. Because willpower puts pressure on yourself to like an outcome. Usually it's the outcome to succeed or to avoid failure, but when you're just curious, like you can still expend energy, you can get tired over time, but isn't that like self collapse of like self burden, just feeling like if this doesn't work out, something's wrong. But willpower is really just a thought that I want things to be a certain way, and I have to make it a certain way. And yet, you can just move naturally and curiously without that will, as if the natural flow of things doesn't have a source. Things kind of have their own momentum, but you don't really trace it back to anything in particular. You're just not fighting what's happening. And that's kind of when like personal will kind of either dampens or just drops away completely. There isn't much of a preference. You can still like say, well, I prefer chocolate over vanilla or vice versa, whatever. But not getting what you want doesn't induce that will or like, I have to get what I like. I have to have chocolate or I have to have vanilla. If there's just chocolate, there's chocolate. If there's vanilla, there's vanilla. There isn't a struggle against it. And if there's a not wanting, then there's not wanting. But I'm not trying to say to get rid of desire, because that would be a new desire. You know, the desire to get rid of desire, and that's just another desire. But even with will power or the lack of this strange point where desires are almost welcome, but they're not believed. Like the desire, and have the desire, maybe, it'd be nice to be in a relationship, but you can't believe the desire as something that'll fulfill you. But you can see a natural curiosity, like, I wonder what that's about, and you can just explore it without trying to get anything out of it. It's basically like experimenting. You've given up on the outcome, and it's just an experiment, and that's it. And when you're just playful with this energy, like you're naturally drawn to something and you're playing with it instead of using it to get something from it, becomes a lot, things become a lot easier as you don't really fight what's happening and there isn't like a self judgment. If you aren't getting what you want, you can almost refer to a self that's not living up to its own mental expectations in a way that causes its own suffering by not living up to its own standards. When there isn't a self that has a standard, it can just be the curiosity, the playfulness, and the engagement without the suffering, basically. Like you can still have that desire of, oh, maybe I'm feeling like I want chocolate, I want a relationship, or I want more money, or whatever it is you want. It can be the natural interest without the outcome of I need it, and it becomes a lot more. I'm just curious, and I'm looking, and I'm engaged. But what am I gonna get out of it? I have no idea, and I don't care. But the entire way, you're enjoying yourself, and that's kind of what it's like. The willpower, just a thought trying to manipulate experience. We don't take identity in thoughts. You can just be naturally curious and engaged, and enjoy yourself, even without having willpower. 'Cause even without a personal will, there's still this natural flow of everything. And it's like it's so hard to say where this comes from. Natural. I don't gotta teach you how to breathe, do I? You're already doing it. I won't even know how to tell you how to breathe. Like the first step, I have no clue. But look, you're already breathing, I'm breathing, and it takes no willpower to breathe. So if you want to explore living without personal will, just look at your breathing. Thanks for listening. Bye.